Force of Law. This is one of my favorite Warbonds when it comes to the concept and the visuals, and I really love the cosmetics and the armors. But Force of Law does have a few problems, especially with the weapons. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as some other Warbonds if you're just looking for a selection of great weapons. We are going to get started on page 1, and on page 1 we have the AR-23 Pacifier. The Pacifier is a neat little weapon, but it's not something that I like to use very often, and it's far from my first choice when it comes to assault rifles. It's an assault rifle with 55 damage per round and medium armor penetration, which is nothing special, but it does have the ability to stun enemies. So if you compare it to the other medium pen assault rifles like the Liberator Penetrator, the MA5C, it trades damage for stun. And it does reliably stun enemies, but most of the time I would just rather bring a different assault rifle that can deal more damage. I think that one of the biggest problems with this weapon is the lack of magazine customization. You can't put a drum mag on it, and that is just a shame because a drum mag would really help the Pacifier fit into that role of crowd control, you know, the thing that it's built to do. Instead, you are limited to 40 round magazines, which is less ammo per magazine than the Liberator Penetrator and the Coyote, which are two other great choices for a medium pen assault rifle. I think the Pacifier could be so much more, but unfortunately it's stuck being kind of mediocre. If you want a stun weapon for your primary slot, then the Pummeler is actually a better choice in my opinion. Sure, it doesn't penetrate medium armor, but it deals more damage per round with the same amount of stun, and you can use it one-handed. So it pairs really well with the ballistic shield, and it's really fun kind of loadout. It's like you're a little, riot control trooper, shield in one hand and an SMG in the other, and you can deal stun. It's like playing as a tank. I think that combo will do you much better than the Pacifier if you actually want a primary that stuns enemies. Next up, we have the BP-20 Correct Officer Armor Set, which is a great play on words. And this happens to be one of my favorite armor sets in the entire game. I love the look of the armor padding on the torso. It still looks sci-fi while still recognizable as like a law enforcement kind of armor padding. And all of the other armored bits are great too. This whole armor set looks realistic and awesome and kind of sci-fi at the same time. Plus, I love the color blue, especially a nice dark blue. That's my favorite color. So I'm obviously a fan of how the armor looks. Everything about it just suits me personally. And the helmet is awesome too. Not only does it look great on its own, but it's also a pretty clear homage to RoboCop, and that of course totally fits with Force of Law. Plus, if you're not a fan of the helmet, then the body armor can match with a variety of other helmets too, letting you actually have some control over how you want to look. This is a medium armor set with 100 armor rating, and the armor passive in this Warbond is called Ballistic Padding, and it comes with 3 different perks. The first perk reduces all damage taken to the chest by 25%, which is an all-around great perk to have. The second perk reduces all explosive damage taken by 25%, which is excellent if you're like me and you love to fight the bots. And the third perk makes you completely immune to bleeding damage, which is another amazing perk that anyone can get use out of. This passive really does just make you harder to kill in general, especially if you're going up against enemies that have explosives. So it's great against the bots, and not bad against the Illuminate either. This passive doesn't have that much use against the bugs in particular, but being immune to bleed damage, regardless, is still an amazing perk that will definitely save your life time and time again. This is one of my favorite medium armor sets, and whenever I get the chance to run this armor and this passive against the bots, I always jump on it. Next up, we have the Signal Hold emote. This Warbond features several emotes like this. They aren't actually very practical, of course, they're just emotes, but they're great for role-playing, and they fit in really well with this Warbond. And I may as well show off the vehicle patterns here too. They look amazing. The combination of black and blue with golden accents is just great, especially on the mechs. I think that this Warbond has Some of the best vehicle patterns in the game, in my opinion, up there with Truth Enforcers and, of course, the ODST Warbond. Now we're moving on to page 2, and on page 2 we have the Stun Pods booster. And frankly, I think this is one of the worst boosters in the entire game. When you consider just how impactful the other boosters are and how necessary they can seem sometimes, this booster really just falls flat on its face. And the booster balance in Helldivers 2 is well, it's not very good, but that is a story for another time. All Stun Pods does is it adds a stun effect around any Hell Pods that hit the surface, which is fine. I mean, you aren't going to get much use out of this anyways. But don't forget that it also applies to you. You will be slowed down anytime you're near a recently dropped Hell Pod. So if you're desperately in need of a resupply, tough shit. If you're right next to it when it goes off, you are slowed for a considerable amount of time. And this booster just isn't practical anyways. Nobody is calling in Hell Pods on enemies so that they can stun them. That's not a thing that people do. I think the only way to fix this booster is to make it similar to the armed resupply pods booster. Make it function just like that, but the resupply pod comes armed with a pacifier instead. That would actually be great. That would really be useful if you're being chased and you desperately need a resupply. It would help you stun all the enemies, and you'd get your ammo back, and it wouldn't be that overpowered anyways. Definitely no more overpowered than the big 4 boosters already are. But in its current state, this item is just filler in my opinion. Don't even bother getting this if you already have better things to spend your medals on. Don't waste your time. Next up, we have the GL52 Escalator. And I think that this is the best weapon in Force of Law, by far. It actually stands out on its own and has something unique to offer. The De-Escalator is a rotary grenade launcher. It can hold 6 grenades, and it reloads round by round, so you never actually lose any ammo by reloading, just like the Punisher or the Senator. The grenades themselves essentially deal no damage, but they electrify any enemies near the area of impact, which penetrates heavy armor, stuns them, and deals some okay damage. It's actually pretty good for fighting groups of enemies. You can take out a whole bunch of chaff and deal some decent damage to medium enemies, of course, all while stunning them. If you combine this with a strong primary, then it's probably the best option for like a stun weapon in the entire game, in my opinion. Plus, the De-Escalator has this weird little bug where it doesn't seem to damage the user at all. I'm not sure what triggers this or how it works, but nonetheless, it's a great little perk that makes this weapon pretty damn strong, especially in close quarters. There are a few issues with this weapon. It doesn't have enough demolition force to destroy any meaningful buildings. Like, it can destroy some props and stuff that are found around the map, but, who cares? It also has a very long reload if you need to reload every single round, so I would recommend taking any opportunity you can to reload the weapon, even if it's just a single grenade. Overall, this is actually a pretty good support weapon. It's not overpowered by any means, but it actually feels great to use, and it has carved out its own niche among the support weapon family. Next up, we have the BP32 Jackboot armor set. This armor set also looks really good. It's very similar to the Correct Officer armor set, but I generally prefer the way that the armor looks on that set instead of this one. One thing I really love about the armors in this Warbond overall is that you can mix and match them really well. They use the same color palettes and they're very similar in design. So you can take the Jackboot helmet and slap it on the Correct Officer armor if you want to, and vice versa. And it's a really cool helmet. It kind of reminds me of the CQB helmet from Halo 3 and Halo Reach. This is a light armor set, 50 armor rating. And of course, it comes with the same passive as the Correct Officer armor set, so I don't need to repeat myself. But I personally think that the passive fits better with medium and heavy armor. I would rather embrace the tankiness that this passive gives you, but if you die a lot to explosives and bleeding while wearing light armor, then you might just like the jackboot armor set, because it is still a good option. Next up, we have the Signal Silence emote. This is another part of the Signal line of emotes that come with this Warbond, and like I said earlier, they're great for roleplay or, making videos and stuff like that. Or if someone thinks they're funny and they tell you to face the wall, you can just, tell them to shut the fuck up. Time for page 3. And on page 3, we have the Extrajudicial title. This title is great. Extrajudicial is a pretty awesome play on words, and of course, it just fits well with Force of Law. It's not as great as something like Super Sheriff or Barrier of Heads, but it's still pretty good. Next up, we have the AX Arc 3 Guard Dog Canine. This stratagem is honestly a great concept. We definitely need more guard dog variants. They're just a great, backpack choice, and this is a pretty damn cool one. This is pretty much just an electric guard dog. It sends out a wave of arc damage to any enemies in front of the drone, dealing some pretty good damage, penetrating tank armor, like tank 3 armor, so like almost every armor in the game, and stunning enemies for a short amount of time. It's really good at helping you deal with crowds of enemies, no matter if they're small enemies, medium enemies, or large enemies. It will deal damage and stun them no matter what. So it's a really great version of the guard dog. It doesn't have the same range as the standard guard dog, but it's still really good. The actual problem with this stratagem is that you can actually very easily kill your teammates by using it. You don't want to be near your squad if you're running this. Unless, of course, you and your entire squad are running arc-resistant armor, then you should be very careful with this thing. But that's not a bad idea. If you got a whole team to run arc armor and run this backpack with some Tesla towers and shit like that, you could absolutely clean up. You would destroy that mission. So yeah, I actually think that this is a great stratagem, but it's so good that you might kill your team with it. Next up, we have the G109 Urchin. And the Urchin is like a mega stun grenade. It's like a hybrid between a stun and a thermite. You can stick it to large enemies and it will do a great job at keeping them stunned for a long while, like 15 seconds or something like that. So it really excels at what it was built to do. But the question is, do you need the Urchin, or would you rather focus your efforts on killing your enemies quickly before you ever need to stun them in the first place? Sure, it's great for stunning things like War Striders and Bile Titans and all manner of giant, large enemies. But a lot of the time, I would rather just bring some thermite, stick those bastards, and just run away while they blow up. You can hold 4 Urchins at once, so you can stun a large number of enemies at once. If you plan on using the Urchin, you gotta back it up with some stratagems that can devastate a tanky enemy. Something like the Orbital Precision Strike would actually pair really well with the Urchin. So that could work out if you're very skilled with both of these different things. However, a lot of the time it's not for me. I'm a thermite lover through and through, so I'm gonna stick with what I already know, and that works just fine for me. But the Urchin is, again, very, very effective at its role. It actually does its role really well, so don't write it off entirely. And finally, our last item today is the Signal Group Up emote. What a way to end it. This is yet another emote that comes with Force of Law, and it's great that they gave out so many, and they're very unique from the other emotes in the game. These are less funny and more serious, more tactical, but they probably don't appeal very much to the casual player base. This stuff really only appeals to milsim role players or people that are filming for videos. But again, it's more emotes than we usually get in a single Warbond, ever, so I'll take it. In conclusion, Force of Law comes with a lot of items. You definitely get a lot of bang for your buck in this Warbond. But the items are also a pretty mixed bag. You have great items like the De-Escalator and the Canine, but you also have items like the Pacifier and the Stun Pods booster. So it's really up to you, to decide whether or not this Warbond will appeal to you. I really love the cosmetics and the designs for the armor sets. They all just look amazing and I use them very often. I love using the armor against the boss. I know I said that, but it just kind of fits really well for that role. The vehicle patterns are beautiful, and the capes are pretty great too. They're not too flashy, but they still stand out. I think Force of Law is a great warbond if you already have your fundamental warbonds, you know, like Democratic Detonation, Dust Devils, Steeled Veterans. But there are, you know, of course, more important warbonds than Force of Law. But if you want something with style and a few unique items, definitely pick up Force of Law if you like the sound of anything I've said here. If this warbond actually came with the warrant, then I would say it's one of the best, but unfortunately, they decided to release the warrant in the Superstore instead. Anyways, it's still a good warbond and I like it quite a bit. But what do you think about Force of Law? Do you have it? Is it great or is it dreadful? And my friend said that pun to me the other day and I'm just gonna beat it to death. And of course, I want to thank my members, Swickity, ArchAngelShipyards, DirtyKnightmare, NOTSAINTT, Cheddar, Minuby, and Mushroombytheoaktree. Thank you guys so much for your continued support of my channel. We're going through a bit of an experimental phase right now, so it does mean a lot to me. And I also want to thank Cupid07 for his very, very generous donations during my recent streams. And if you haven't watched my streams, then, you know, tune in for those. I stream on YouTube, so, you know, don't need to go very far to find them. And that is all I have for today. This is Grand Moff Togan of the SES Prophet of Dawn, signing off.